Okay, so we are recording right now. My name is Jennifer Davis, and we're doing continuing education. Tonight we're actually going to talk about, we're going to get a little sciencey tonight. Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay, good. So we're in the middle of kind of our theme. I'm trying to find a place to set that. It's so big. We're in the middle of our theme talking about stress, and I just felt like after having an experience with my mom having such a severe stress response a few months ago, it just kind of put it on my plate where I just felt like we needed to really talk about stress. So I'm going to continue to use her as my testimonial or my example. So my mom has a very stressful job. She's been doing this job for like almost 50 years. And stress is something that one thing we have to remember, everybody responds to stress differently. I could do her job and not have a stress response like she does. But then there are other things that really stress me out that maybe it wouldn't stress her out. So I'm just a little curious for those that are on with us live, what's something that shows up in your daily life that just brings you stress?
Driving around very bad drivers.
Okay.
That's a good one, Patty. Let's see. Stress for me is trying to fit too many things in my day and getting distracted. That's my biggest stressor right now.
Okay. I would agree with that one. So there is one that I specifically have that I have been working on once I learned that this was a thing. I eat on the go. I don't take time to sit down and have a meal at a table without work or something happening in front of me. And I didn't realize that doing that actually increased my stress hormone called cortisol. And so that's what we're going to talk about today is the consistent increase in cortisol. And Patty, I'm going to mute you until you want to talk. And how important it is for us to find better ways to cope with stress because of this specific hormone. Now, I actually want to go over to my notes really quick. So I'm going to minimize you guys. And I get to see Lisa on the little tiny screen. So what we're going to talk about is chronic stress and the essential oils that you can use to kind of combat that. So basically, our body is hardwired to react to stress in ways meant to protect you against threats from predators or aggressors. So you're walking to your car and you're going down a dark alley and there's somebody there that feels threatening. Your body is going to create a stress response that's going to help you fight or flight. Hopefully not freeze, but that is also a stress response. And so when you're in the middle of a situation like that, whether it's a stress like an actual bodily harm stress, or you have a consistent stress that's happening every day, like what you shared, Lisa, or what my mom would go through every day was really stressful at work because of deadlines and not enough people to help and too much work to do. What that ended up doing was causing that reaction to stress on a continual basis. And so when you are faced with multiple demands each day, such as taking on a huge workload or paying the bills or taking care of your family, which is one of mine, your body treats these so-called minor hassles as threats. Okay. So eventually your body doesn't know the difference. As a result, you might actually feel like you're constantly under attack. Has anybody been like really irritable as a result of this stuff?
When stress happens, yes.
And when it's constant, I definitely get really irritable, and I actually get it with my kids the most. So anyways, so what I want to do is give you guys some tools so that you don't have to let stress control your life. So let's talk about the natural stress response specifically. So when you encounter a perceived threat, such as a large dog barking at you during your morning walk or whatever it may be, your hypothalamus gland, it's a tiny region at the base of your brain. It sets off an alarm system in your body. Okay. And so through a combination of like nerve and hormonal signals, the system prompts your adrenal glands located at the top of your kidneys. I like to call them little kidney hats, to release a huge surge of hormones. So that would be adrenaline and cortisol. Okay. So those things kind of go hand in hand. And when you have that continual stress, like you're always running, running, running to get things done, like your adrenaline gets up there too. And when that happens, and adrenaline increases your heart rate, it elevates your blood pressure, but it also boosts your energy supplies. And then cortisol, which is the primary stress hormone, actually increases your sugars, so your glucose, into the bloodstream because it's trying to give you a quick burst of energy. But what this does is it enhances your brain's use of glucose and increases the availability of substances for tissue repair, which is what helps you run faster and fight harder. And that's why a lot of people who do get in fights where they have to protect themselves, they don't feel the pain. Or when someone gets in a car accident, they don't feel the pain until later because the body is like shutting down so many different receptors. So going into that, cortisol also curbs functions that would be non-essential or detrimental in a fight-flight situation. So one of them is the immune system, okay? If your body's immune system shuts down, it also suppresses the digestive system, the reproductive system, and then the growth processes. So think about children who are under daily stress. Maybe they're in an abusive home or a neglectful home. That's going to affect so much for them because their bodies are still developing. So the other thing to note is that this natural alarm system actually communicates with the brain to control mood, motivation, and fear. When I'm stressed, I'm not motivated at all. In fact, I want to sit down and watch TV or scroll Facebook or TikTok or something. So that's usually when I know I'm stressed. So when the stress response system starts to self-limit, what we want to remember is that when that threat passes, the hormone levels return to normal. So I had a stress situation a couple weeks ago where I had to have a conversation with someone where I was actually really scared to have the conversation with them. So my cortisol levels were really high. And then it took about 2 days where I noticed like I was not as affected by it anymore. I could breathe a little bit better. It didn't seem as scary to me anymore. So as the adrenaline and cortisol levels start to drop down, your heart rate and your blood pressure return to base levels. And then the other systems return to normal, regular activities. But when those stressors are always present, you constantly feel under attack, and that reaction stays turned on. So this affects us long term, like things like anxiety and depression, and we have digestive problems, headaches, heart disease, we have trouble sleeping at night, there's weight gain involved. And then memory and concentration impairment's probably the way it affects me the most. So that's why it's so important to learn healthy ways to cope with life stressors. So last time we met, which it's been a while, we talked about some of that. We talked about one of the things that I'm doing differently is I'm sitting down and I'm eating a meal. I clock out at work and I go sit in another space where I'm not working. I like to go for a walk real quick just on the block that I work on. At home, I make sure that when we make dinner that the kids and I sit down at the table. Nobody's like sitting in front of the TV. We turn the TV off. We do all these things at home. Other things is moving your body. It's kind of hard to be intentional about that, but it's really important. When you exercise, how does it make you feel?
Better.
Better,
Mhm.
for sure. All right. I'm seeing who's joined us because I see Pam's name on my screen, but I don't see her actually on the screen. So, okay. So the other thing that's really important to know is how you react to life stressors are Factors to take into mind is we have genetics that control the stress response. Like I noticed my mom and we respond the same. Irritability is kind of our stress response usually. And then we have life experiences as well. So if you have, early childhood trauma or you have a trauma in general, that's going to impact you down the road and how you handle stress. And it's really interesting. I've worked with so many people over the years to see how they can't navigate stressful situations as well. And then just knowing their history, like knowing that has an effect on them. So you might have friends that seem like, really relaxed because maybe they're doing things that, we're unaware of. So let me skip down to my notes here. And I will say for the most part, I've had a lot of people notice that when there's a lot of stress going on, one of the things I do is I get tunnel vision and I get really focused on the task that I need to do because it's my way of coping with stress specifically, and it helps me keep my cool. So sometimes I start making a list of everything I need to do, and I don't do anything until I get the first thing done and then the second thing done. And that really helps me as well. So some other stress management strategies, which we're going to talk about, and then I'm going to talk about essential oils, are like eating a healthy diet and then getting regular exercise and plenty of sleep. So who is doing that? Have you ever noticed that when you eat badly, you're a little bit more stressed out than when you eat really healthy?
Yep.
I know, Lisa, you eat really healthy, don't you?
Most of the time. I still have trouble with my salty things, but I did cut out all the sugar. No Dr. Pepper.
I know. And it's so funny because for me, Dr. Pepper is kind of like the thing that when I'm stressed, I want it. When I'm happy, I want it. When I'm angry, I want it. It's like definitely, it's a mood consumption for me. And that's the thing, is that when people are going through an emotion, they're attracted to different things. Usually when you're happy and you feel grounded, you are attracted to good things because you're in that like growth mindset. But some people, it's a little different. It's a reward system. I talked about that with a doctor today. We talked about how sometimes we make bad choices because we think it's a reward for ourselves. So we
Right.
reward ourselves with bad choices. Practicing relaxation techniques like meditation, deep breathing. I love to get a massage. I love doing that. One of the things I do during the day when I feel kind of stressed out is I go sit in our sauna because it's really hot. It warms me up, and that actually causes a nervous system response for me. So I know it's really hot in California, Lisa, but go stand outside in the sun.
Yep.
Go put the sun on your face and warm up. Taking times for hobbies. This is something that I think moms forget to do, is taking times to do the things that they love that doesn't involve necessarily other people. And that could be anything. For me, working on my house, doing DIY projects, painting something in the house, whether it's furniture or walls, that's a big deal for me. Gardening. So find out what your hobbies are and just spend a little time every day working on them, and you might notice your stress levels going down. And then fostering healthy friendships. So as I say this, you might be thinking of people in your life that you feel like maybe they stress you out. It's okay to have boundaries with those people. And you can do it in such a way that's definitely not going to harm the relationship, which I'm not going to get into boundaries, even though that's one of my favorite topics. And then my favorite stress coping mechanism is having a sense of humor. Everybody that knows me knows that I love to have fun and joke around, and I do it a lot at work, and it really lightens the mood as well. Volunteering in your community. And actually, when I was going through a really tough time in my life, Lisa gave me the best advice ever. She said, find someone who is worse off than you and help them. So I like the volunteering in your community because there's a lot of people that, their situation is a little bit more, dire than yours, and you can lift them up, and in turn, that lifts you up as well. And then seeking professional counseling when needed. I think therapists and counselors can be really good at helping you identify exactly what you're stressing out about. And I see Barry. Um, so anyways, and they can help you figure out what your stressors are, what's causing them, and maybe what trauma from your childhood is making it worse. So let's talk about okay, there we go. So I found this really interesting study that was back in 2007, and it said that smelling lavender and rosemary increases free radical scavenging ability and decreases cortisol level in saliva. Okay, so what does that mean? So free radical scavenging activity is like these good, let's see if I can explain this right, because I actually tried to find a really clear definition for this and it was hard for me, but it's like I can picture what it's happening in your body when I read this word. So, but this is a preventative, it's a chain breaking oxidant that's also called as radical scavengers. So this is a good thing. Lavender and rosemary increase this activity, and that is a good thing because these things are like scavenging those free radicals. And remember, free radicals are what harms the molecules that are good for us and can really affect aging and immune system and inflammatory response. So going into the oils that are really good, something that I already knew from years ago is how powerful linalool was at helping to support the cortisol hormone response. So it's a powerful terpene. It's due to its effects on the serotonin, which is the happy chemical. So that's why when we, and I don't have a bottle of Balance in here. I share my oils with my coworkers and then I can't find them. So Balance has a lot of linalool in it. And so when you smell Balance, you're actually helping to support the serotonin receptor to create that happy chemical response. This is why it's so good to help with things like anxiousness, like when you're feeling that anxiousness or when you're having that low mood, like feeling that depressed, low mood. And it can also help to combat sleeping issues as well. So linalool is actually in oils such as lavender. It's the highest in lavender, which is why I recommend lavender every day. Lisa, how do you use lavender every day?
I love to aromatic. I just take the bottle and breathe it in. And then I use it primarily when I get headaches. So,
Oh yeah, just like,
yep. And the back of my neck.
So one of the things that I like with lavender, and I do this before I go to bed, is I put it over my heart. So just like, and when you put oils over your heart, remember, we're actually not putting them over the body system. However, you can't go wrong if you do that. The heart is actually tucked up under here anyways. And so a lot of times we put it here. That's actually not our heart, that's our lungs. But one of the things that's really important to know is that we have these energy channels that run through our body. And when the oils get into those, it's like merging on the highway. It just like catches the speed and gets where it needs to go and starts running through the different body systems. So when we put oils on our heart, you can put them right here, actually. Okay. So that's going to actually get, it's versus over here. So we want to put it in the middle. And then that's going to get down to where it needs to go. So I've been really liking lavender over the heart. I actually do like to combine it with another oil like orange, just because I like the way the citrus oils smell. The other place that you can put lavender is on the bottoms of the feet. And I'm a big fan of topical usage. You can definitely diffuse it at night, but here's the thing. You get less exposure to oils in a diffuser. However, if you have it in your bedroom at night diffusing and you've got one of those diffusers that go 10 hours, then actually you're getting constant exposure, but I recommend that you put it near your bed. So your nightstand is a good spot because you have air conditioning on and you've got circulation in the house and those molecules make their way into the HVAC system and not to you. So I'm really careful of that when it comes to diffusing my oils, or I just put a lot more oil in the diffuser. So the other one is Balance, and it's actually, I believe, the Hoe Wood that is in the balance that's got the higher numbers of linalool in it. And I think that's why the balance is so effective there. I don't have my notes with me. I wrote them all out at home and then I didn't bring them to work. So trying to go off memory here. And then the other oils, surprisingly, did you know that coriander is really high in linalool? Coriander goes on the core. So that's where you want to remember to put it. And so coriander comes from the seed that cilantro grows into, or that cilantro grows from. But then cilantro also does. And one of the things I love about cilantro is it is the oil of releasing control. If your stress is related to like things getting out of your control, go grab your cilantro. And if it's one of those things where you don't really like the smell of it, I mean, I love cilantro, but when it's on your body and it never goes away, not so much. I do have a funny story about this. I went to my therapist one time and I wanted to be like ready to like release some things. And so I wanted to be very open-minded to the things that he had to say. So I put cilantro on my stomach and the whole time I'm sitting there and even I said something to him about it. He was like, yeah, I thought it smelled like cilantro. So anyways, funny story. So, you can put it on the bottoms of your feet. You can also put these things in a capsule if you don't want to taste it. And then basil. So 3 oils that actually are really amazing in cooking. And basil is actually pretty good when you drop a drop in some lemonade. It tastes kind of yummy. I don't like ice with my essential oils though, but so warm lemonade's not really the best, but sometimes it tastes a little good. And then the last oil I want to talk about is petitgrain. I personally don't like the smell of petitgrain on its own, but when I combine it with lavender, it smells amazing. I love the combination of those two, and they're both really high in linalool, which makes them work together even more. So what are your favorite oils for stress?
Adaptive.
I don't have that one with me. Someone took it.
Wild orange and lavender. Patty's trying to tell us, I think. She's looking for her unmute.
Yeah, I do lavender and wild orange in my diffuser every night.
Yep, me too. Sometimes I'll do serenity, but lavender I know is higher in that. The other thing I want to point out is that lavender has so many other constituents in it. We call it the Swiss Army knife of essential oils. So it's good for so much. It's good for times when I use it all the time when my kids get hurt, whether it's like an open wound or maybe it's a pretend wound, because you know how kids are. But I use it for that. It's got an analgesic effect. So it's really helpful for times when you need some relief from discomfort. Also, it's really good for those times when the environment's going all crazy town and we're sneezing and all that kind of stuff. It's really great for that. What I've been doing for my throat, since I've got this weird sensation that this might be a response to
Cool, Janie.
okay, so where is she? Because I only see the 3 of you.
So Pam, Heather, Janie, and Patty are here with you, along with me. And Serenity and Roman Chamomile are powerhouse stress oils, Janie.
Yes.
Great.
That's so weird because I can only see, but they must be joining via phone. Maybe, I don't really know, but I only see you guys. So I had no idea we had more people.
Yeah.
So anyways, train of thought. Oh, lavender. So, anyways, what I was saying is it's just good for so many things. So I use it all year round. It's one of my top 5 daily essential oils. Get it on you somehow, some way. And this is the importance of having some sort of like introduction to essential oils, like a one-on-one with the person that helped you get them, because they can kind of explain, like, if you kind of share with them what's going on with your health and some of your wellness goals, they can kind of guide you with like, okay, so you should be using lavender in this way. So I put lavender right here because I've got this weird irritation with my throat, and I'm kind of hoping that lavender might help with that because of lavender's ability to like cause the like when you've got itchy skin from whether it's bug bites or some sort of contact issue, like you got something on your skin, lavender helps to bring down the response to that so it's not so uncomfortable or itchy. And so my throat kind of feels itchy, so I've been putting it on my throat. I also like to put lavender under my tongue for all of my like sinus issues.
Oh, wow.
And because I think they're related to the things in the air that I'm breathing in, I think it's irritation. So I've been using a lot of lavender under my tongue. And also, one good thing about lavender is it's an oil that helps you communicate. And I noticed that if I put it on, especially before a class or I'm getting ready to speak to somebody, maybe I want to have like a tough conversation with them, lavender actually helps me find my voice. And I notice I communicate better. It's like I find the words a little bit better. I enunciate. I'm a little bit more clear in my speaking. So I really like that oil for so many different reasons. So I'm a little curious, Lisa, how do you use lavender?
So I do that for Shabbat each week because I speak and teach there and sing. So I use
Mm-hmm.
it for communication. I also use it, like I was sharing with you, for the headaches. I like to use it on my bug bites. I got bit by a mosquito in 4 places about a week ago. It was awful. I use melaleuca or tea tree and lavender together. They're a powerhouse. And then, of course, it's great for when I'm stressing. It just, if I just breathe it in, it just helps calm my mind. And then I wanted to ask you, because petitgrain grain is supposed to be the male alternative to lavender. So if you use both of them and you love the way it smells, what kind of a double portion whammy are you getting from those two oils? You get the
Now, what do you
linalool.
mean by the male version?
That's what Dr. Hill told us. He said most men complain about lavender.
Oh, I'm
So
getting you.
yeah,
I thought
that's
it
what
was
I
like a
think.
masculine energy thing. I wasn't sure where you were going with that.
Oh, okay.
So petitgrain, what's really interesting is it comes from oh, sorry, I was reading a note on the side. It comes from the leaves from a citrus fruit. So it's not the actual fruit or the peel like our orange and lemons come from. So it's got a slight citrus, but it comes from the leaves. So I don't know why I was reaching over to my bag like I had it over there. That's not an oil I keep with me like ever. But one of the things I noticed about petitgrain is that it actually really helps get a better night's sleep. And I've had people report that they had some really interesting dreams, like in a good way. And I thought that was really interesting. I don't remember that specifically for me, but it's just a really good essential oil for that. It's got a lot of other things. It's very uplifting. It's refreshing. It's good for the senses. It is actually really good at clearing confusion.
Oh, that's
So,
interesting.
and then helping with like mental fatigue, and then also helping to kind of boost the mood if you have a low mood or anything like that. It can support memory, and then it says here it gladdens the heart. So petitgrain is actually a really good oil to combine for grief, and lavender is a grief oil. So two of them, and that's why I was diffusing a lot of them like about a year ago when I was going through more grief about a situation in my life. So the other thing I do want to say is that if you use it topically, petitgrain can cause some skin irritation. So just be mindful of that. I actually don't like to use that one on my skin without diluting it. Because it kind of reminds me of lemongrass. It's kind of irritating like lemongrass would be. But it goes really well with lavender. It goes well with bergamot and clary sage. And it actually smells really good with jasmine and orange.
I love
So,
jasmine and orange. Yummy.
yeah. So that's petitgrain. So who's going to try that one tonight? Okay, so Janie said she uses Serenity and Roman chamomile. And Roman chamomile is actually an oil I started using a lot this week because it's a oil that helps with purpose. And you guys know I love the emotional roots to these essential oils. And that's only because where the essential oils go in the body systems that they tend to be more excited about, our body has different like emotions that we store in different places. And so the Roman chamomile just really supports like purpose and especially spiritual purpose. So I started using that ones on the bottoms of my feet in the daytime before I put my shoes on, with a few other oils like Citrus Bliss, because that is a great motivation and creativity oil. And I noticed when I combine that and I put blue tansy on my toe, so this really isn't about stress, but when we talked about how stress, what's the word I'm looking for, causes your motivation levels to go down. That's the thing I noticed is I was really stressed these last few weeks, and my desire to get things done went way down. So anyways, so I started doing that this week. I put blue tansy on my toe
Okay.
because that's the oil that helps inspire action. And then I put citrus bliss on the bottom of my feet for motivation and creativity, and then Roman chamomile for purpose. And that's because I wanted to make sure I was always walking in my purpose and I was creatively getting things done, because a lot of the things I need to get done have a lot to do with creativity. And then of course the blue tansy to like inspire the action of, because Lisa knows I'm not an activator. I have all these great ideas. I have all these strategies. I'm very futuristic, but I'm not an activator. I need somebody. I need somebody in my life that I could be like, hey, do this. Here's a list. And they'll like go do the thing. Maybe that should be on my what I want in a husband checklist.
Do you have this by any chance?
Actually, I don't. I gave it to somebody. So what little tidbit of information do you have in there that would be helpful?
I was in here looking for different kinds of things, like when you're stressed. Sometimes when you're stressed, like you were talking about, it causes depression, right?
Yeah.
And there's this really amazing blend in here. Ooh, I'm not very good at getting this where it needs to go, out of the darkness. And the oils that it recommends are bergamot, ginger, lemon, peppermint, juniper berry, frankincense, eucalyptus, clary sage, ylang ylang. And then of course it's an old book. It has white fir. So now you would use Siberian fir. But anyway, I was just looking in here to see if I could find the emotional key for some of the oils you were talking about. And lavender did come up, not in this blend, but it talked about how it helped others be open to what you have to say. So you have to get it on them. That's another thing. If you're going to have a crucial conversation with someone, hand them some lavender so they can hear you.
Or diffuse it ahead of time before the conversation.
Excellent.
So that would be really cool. Okay, so one of the things that I want to do is as I transition my wellness education, I want to get into more coaching and life coaching. And I love speaking to groups. And so it might be a good idea for me to diffuse lavender in the room.
Yep.
And then with orange, because orange is the open mind oil.
That's right.
So,
so always take your diffuser where you're going to go speak.
Like big ones.
Use it.
I need to go find me a big diffuser. Put a whole bottle of lavender in there.
Need that much.
Yeah.
Oh, this was good.
Yeah, and so we went through my notes already.
Okay.
So I want to continue the conversation for stress. We're going to get into the next two segments. We're going to talk about the immune system, and we're going to talk about digestion. And in digestion, I'm going to talk about weight loss.
Okay.
Does that sound good?
Yes. Yes, it does.
All right. So I recorded this today. I was like, oh my gosh, should I record this? I did record this. I will send this out in the email. I feel like, well, hang on a second. Let me stop the recording really quick. Oh, let me give some information before I do that. Okay. So just to clarify, So I, Jennifer Davis, am leading continuing education, and we do that every first and third Thursday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. And then Lisa, she leads the wellness webinars, and those are every second and fourth, right? Thursday of the
Yes.
month at the same time. Now, I want to just remind you guys that since Lisa is the host of one and I'm the host of the other, it's two separate logins to join us. Okay. So, in order to keep track of those, make sure you check your email because I send those out every single week. And then if you're in the Bare Essentials continuing education page, I'm going to go ahead and make sure that's in the announcements for you. And then if you're in my Make Me Oily VIP page, I'm going to make sure that's in the announcements. So both links are available to you. You don't have to register to get the emails to join. I'm going to make sure those links are in there. It's just that we have a pretty, you know, big number of people that just really don't want to get into Facebook on a regular basis. And so they like the email system. So if you decide to register for the email, then just know you're not going to get a bunch of spam from me. You're just going to get the reminders and the replays for these two programs. Okay. So that's all you'd be registering for. And then just so you guys know, you all have access to continuing education. That is my gift to you, that I will continue to educate you beyond what you can get for free in other places. So that is for you. If you have somebody that wants to learn about essential oils and they want to learn in like a fun way, then you want to invite them to the wellness webinars. Okay. And there is a registration link for that, which again, I'll put that in the announcements as well. So we have two, but you guys only need to register for continuing education because I send out the information on both of these classes to that particular list of people. So you don't have to get both. Okay. So I think that's all. I just want to do some housekeeping there, and then I'll get this recorded, or this recording uploaded, because I feel like today we talked about some good information.
It was good. Thank you, Jennifer.
You're welcome.